A circular patch sewn onto the left arm of a jacket. That patch adds over $1,000 to the price. The jacket it sits on costs between $150 and $300 to produce. We ranked 10 jacket brands from rip-off to real value. 5 are charging you for patches, logos, and ownership changes that gutted the product. 5 are charging you for waxed cotton, full-grain leather, and construction methods that have not changed in over a century. Same closet, opposite value. Starting with a brand that lost its heritage the moment it changed owners. Number 10, Woolrich, founded in 1830. One of the oldest outdoor brands in American history. Woolrich made wool blankets for Civil War soldiers. It outfitted generations of hunters, loggers, and outdoor workers with heavy fabrics built for real weather. That is 190 years of heritage. And in the last decade, nearly all of it has been sold off. Woolrich's ownership has changed 3 times since 2016. W.P. Lavori in Corso took an 80% stake. Then Elgam acquired it. Then in 2025, BasicNet bought the European operations for 40 million euros. Each acquisition repositioned the brand further from its origins. The rugged American outdoor company became a premium Italian lifestyle label. The price tag stayed at $400 to $900. The Arctic parka, once a collector-grade piece built for extreme cold, now sits in a brand portfolio alongside fashion-forward urban outerwear. When a brand changes hands 3 times in under a decade, the product is no longer the priority. The asset is. Woolrich is not selling jackets anymore. It is selling a heritage story to whoever owns it next, and each new owner extracts a little more from that story while investing a little less into what hangs on the rack. Number 9, the North Face, specifically the Nuptse. Not the Alpine line, not the Summit series, not the gear built for mountaineering expeditions. That equipment is legitimate and earns its price through genuine technical performance. The Nuptse puffer is a different product. It retails for $300 to $380. The construction uses 700 fill Goose down inside a recycled nylon shell with DWR coating. That is a solid specification. But at $350, the Nuptse competes directly against the Patagonia down sweater at $280 with 800 fill traceable down, against the REI Co-op 650 fill down jacket at $150, against the Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisperer at a similar price with superior warmth to weight performance. The Nuptse does not win on fill power. It does not win on weight. It does not win on packability. What it wins on is the half-dome logo on the chest. That logo turned a puffer jacket into an urban status symbol. VF Corporation, the parent company behind the North Face, Timberland, Vans, and Dickies, understands exactly what it is selling. At $350, you are not paying for the best insulation at that price. You are paying for the most recognizable patch. If you want to know what is actually inside the brands you are buying, subscribe. We test the construction so you do not have to. Number 8, Belstaff. In 1924, a company in Staffordshire, England, started making waxed cotton jackets for motorcyclists. The trial master became a legend. Steve McQueen wore Belstaff in The Great Escape. The brand defined a genre of outerwear that every motorcycle jacket since has tried to replicate. Then came the ownership carousel. Ineos, the chemical conglomerate owned by Jim Ratcliffe, acquired Belstaff in 2017. The brand posted £62 million in losses that year. Losses continued. Debt climbed to £147 million, mostly owed back to Ineos. Then Castore, a sportswear company, acquired Belstaff from Ineos in a deal that saw Ineos take a stake in Castore instead. 3 different corporate owners. None of them founded in outerwear. None of them built around waxed cotton or motorcycle heritage. Jackets still retail for $500 to $1,500. But the brand that Steve McQueen made famous now belongs to a sportswear company that bought it from a chemical company that bought it from an investment firm. At those prices, you are not paying for the trial master's legacy. You are paying for a name that has been passed between boardrooms like an asset on a spreadsheet. Heritage without continuity is not heritage. It is a brand name attached to whoever signed the last check. Number 7, Moncler. Here is one number, 78.1%. That is Moncler's gross margin for 2024. For every $1,000 you spend on a Moncler jacket, approximately $220 covers the materials, the labor, and the down inside it. The remaining $780 covers everything else: marketing, retail operations, corporate overhead, profit. Moncler jackets retail for $1,000 to $2,500. The down is real. The fill is genuine, but the ratio of price to insulation is extreme by any standard. At $1,500, Moncler competes on the same shelf as Arc'teryx Helium at $380 with 850 fill down and superior warmth to weight engineering. Fjällräven Expedition down at $600 with ethically sourced down and a fully repairable shell. The red, white, and blue arm patch on a Moncler jacket functions identically to the arm disc on a Canada Goose parka. It is a visibility marker, a signal to everyone around you that you spent four figures on a puffer. The insulation does not require that price. The construction does not require that price. The patch does. 78% gross margin on a down jacket. That is not outerwear engineering. That is luxury branding applied to insulation. Number 6, Canada Goose. The biggest offender on this list and the clearest math in outerwear. A Canada Goose parka retails for $1,000 to $2,000. The company's gross margin sits at roughly 69%. Estimated production cost per parka, $150 to $300, including materials, labor, and downfill. At $1,500 retail, the gap between what it costs to build and what it costs to buy is over $1,000. That gap has a shape. It is circular. It sits on the left arm of every jacket, and it is the single most expensive piece of branding in men's outerwear. The Fjällräven Expedition down jacket retails for $600. Ethically sourced down, a fully repairable construction designed for Arctic conditions. At $600, it outperforms Canada Goose on warmth to weight ratio, and it costs $900 less. Canada Goose phased out coyote fur trim under public pressure, not by choice. The brand's response to ethical concerns was reactive, not principled. The arm patch, however, remains untouched because the patch is the product. The parka is the delivery mechanism. At $1,500, you are buying $200 of jacket and $1,300 of brand. That is not an opinion, that is the margin report. 5 brands, 5 patches, 5 prices that the construction could never justify. Now 5 brands where the price is in the jacket, not on it. Number 5, Baracuta. In 1937, in Manchester, England, the Miller brothers created a jacket. Short, lightweight, a stand-up collar with a button throat latch, 2 slanted pockets, an elastic waistband, and a Fraser tartan lining in red and blue. They called it the G9. The world called it the Harrington. Every Harrington jacket you have ever seen, from any brand at any price, is a copy of this silhouette. James Dean wore it, Steve McQueen wore it, Frank Sinatra wore it. The G9 defined mid-century cool and became one of the most replicated jacket designs in fashion history. And Baracuta still makes it, still in England, still with the Fraser tartan lining that has been inside every G9 since 1938. The jacket retails for $400 to $500. That is a premium. But this is not a brand charging for a logo. This is the brand that invented the shape every competitor borrows from. At that price, you're buying the original, not a copy of the original with a different label. The authentic article from the company that created it 87 years ago and never stopped producing it. Number 4, Schott NYC, the first motorcycle jacket ever made. Model 618, the Perfecto, created in 1928 by 2 brothers on the Lower East Side of New York. Marlon Brando wore it in the Wild One. The Ramones adopted it as a uniform. Every leather motorcycle jacket designed since is a descendant of this one. The factory is now in Union, New Jersey. Over 100 employees, over 110 years of continuous domestic production. No outsourcing, no offshore manufacturing. Every men's leather jacket and wool coat is cut and sewn in the same building. The leather is full-grained steer hide, chrome tanned and drum dyed, 3 to 3.5 ounce weight, heavy gauge metal hardware, real metal zippers. The jacket starts stiff and breaks in over years, developing a patina unique to how you wear it. Schott leather jackets retail for $700 to $1,000. That price covers American labor, American manufacturing, full grain leather, and a construction process that has not been compromised in over a century. Most heritage brands sell the story of where they started. Schott still operates there. That is the difference between a legacy and a marketing campaign. Number 3, Private White V.C. Most people watching this have never heard this name. That is by design. Private White V.C. does not advertise, no billboards, no celebrity campaigns, no influencer deals. The brand grows by word of mouth inside menswear circles that care about one thing above all else: how the jacket is made. The name comes from Private Jack White, a soldier who earned the Victoria Cross for gallantry in World War I on the Diehle River in Mesopotamia. After the war, he returned to Manchester and began an apprenticeship at a garment factory built in 1853. He rose to general manager. His great-grandchildren reunited the company into family ownership in 2007. Every garment is manufactured under one roof in that same Manchester factory. Cutting, sewing, finishing, quality control. Nothing is outsourced. Nothing is licensed. Nothing leaves the building until it is finished. The materials include Ventile cotton, originally developed for RAF pilots in World War II. Tightly woven long staple cotton that swells when wet, sealing the fabric against water without synthetic coatings. Harris tweed, Italian wools, all processed in one factory by one team. Jackets retail for $400 to $800. That is the same range as Moncler and Canada Goose, but every dollar goes into materials and labor inside a single building in Manchester. No margin machine, no arm patch, no ownership carousel, just a factory named after a war hero, making jackets the same way it has for over a century. Number 2, Mackintosh. In 1823, in Glasgow, Scotland, a chemist named Charles Mackintosh discovered that dissolving rubber in naphtha created a waterproof adhesive. He bonded 2 layers of cotton together with liquid rubber pressed between them. The result was a fabric that repelled water completely without synthetic membranes, coatings, or chemical treatments. That invention did not just create a brand, it created a word. The Mackintosh entered the English dictionary as a synonym for raincoat. 200 years later, the word is still in the dictionary, and the factory is still in Scotland. Mackintosh coats are made in Cumbernauld, Scotland. The bonding process is done by hand. Cotton from Japan is cut, sewn, and sealed with rubber glue applied by finger along every seam. Eyelets are punched for breathability. The method has not changed in nearly 200 years. The rubberized cotton softens and develops a unique patina with age. Unlike synthetic shells that degrade and crack, Mackintosh fabric improves with wear. Hermes has used Mackintosh fabrics in its own collections. That is validation from one of the most selective houses in the world. Handmade Scottish raincoats retail for $600 to $1,500. At the top of that range, you are paying for handmade construction, 200 years of unchanged methodology, and a fabric that literally redefined what a coat could do. The brand did not just make raincoats, it invented them, and it still makes them by hand in the same country where the process was born. And finally, number 1, Barbour. If you watched our Buy It for Life video, you already know why this brand earned its spot on that list. Now it earns the top of this one, for the same reasons, and for one more. Founded 1894, Simonside, England. Royal warrants from 3 members of the British royal family. Waxed cotton that is waterproof, windproof, and repairable. A lifetime rewaxing and repair service that restores your jacket no matter how long you have owned it. A factory in South Shields that has not moved offshore. Here is the comparison that defines this video. A Canada Goose parka, $1,500, 69% gross margin. A circular arm patch, no repair program. A Barbour waxed jacket, $350 to $500. Lifetime repair and rewaxing service. Royal warrants. 130 years of continuous production in the same region of England. Barbour costs less than every negative brand on this list, and it outlasts all of them. The jacket is designed to be passed down. Barbour does not just allow multi-generational ownership, it encourages it. A father's jacket sent to a son is not second-hand, it is the point. $450 for a jacket a brand will repair for life versus $1,500 for a jacket with a patch and no promise. The math is not close, and that is why Barbour is number 1. 10 brands, Same category, same closet space. 5 are selling you a patch and a price tag. 5 are selling you a product and a promise. The difference is not what is on the arm, it is what is inside the jacket. Subscribe if you want more. Drop a comment with the jacket brand that surprised you most. If you want to see which brands made our Buy It for Life list, watch that video next. If you want to know which clothing brands are overcharging you, watch our first video. Both are on screen now.